When my mom was 17, she fell in love with a boy. She told me that he was very cute and looked like the famous Japanese actor who played the youngest samurai, Katsuhiro, in Seven Samurai. In the 1950s, the Japanese economy was on the rise, but still struggling from the devastation of the World War II. Especially, ethnic Koreans who had come to the country as forced labor were treated as second-class citizens, excluded from the national healthcare and pension plan. My mother and Katsuhiro were born into these ethnic Korean families. Back then, North Korea was showcased as heaven on earth, where everyone was equal, with guaranteed jobs and free housing. When the country launched a campaign to repatriate ethnic Koreans, over 93,000 people migrated from Japan. Katsuhiro, who believed in the utopian promises and wished to continue higher education, decided to move to North Korea with his family. And that is how my mother's bittersweet first love ended. The rumor was that most of the immigrants had their life savings confiscated as soon as they arrived. As a former supporters of the enemy state, they were lumped into the lowest caste of society. Some families are accused of being spies and sent to political prison camps, where forced labor, torture, rape, starvation, and public executions were rampant. A decade later, my mother married my South Korean father, and I was born in Yokohama, Japan. Growing up in a safe and affluent environment, I sometimes wonder how my life would have been if my mother had made a different decision and moved to North Korea with Katsuhiro. For a long time, I was haunted by strange survivor's guilt and a sense of helplessness. So much so, one day, as a documentary filmmaker, I decided to act. In 2010, I started interviewing activists and North Korean survivors from political prison camp and compiled their testimonials of atrocities in hopes that shocking evidence would galvanize the world. We know exactly where these prisoners are. And we even know who they are. However, my plan fell short. When I presented the gruesome facts of crime against humanity, sure enough, people paid attention. But in most cases, that's as far as it went. It feels that when we are bombarded with tragedy after another tragedy and another tragedy, we shut down. When the degree of horror is so intense, we dissociate ourselves from what's going on. Quite disappointed with their apathy and also confused, actually, I had to analyze my own transformation. You see, I'm neither very kind nor very unkind. I'm somewhere in between. Depends on whom I'm talking to. But when it comes to this particular cause, unlike many others, I took action. Why? Because I felt related. Because I could see Katsuhiro and his family stuck in a dark, freezing prison camp. The plight of prisoners are so relatable to me that their freedom became my personal responsibility. And that is the connection I wanted to inspire in others. So I liquidated most of my savings and went back to Seoul to interview survivors. But this time, not only about the atrocity that they suffered, but about the lives they've lived there. In the worst imaginable situations, I heard stories of compassion, cooperation, humor, friendship, and even romance among prisoners. I wove those narratives into a screenplay of a feature-length 3D animated film to reach out worldwide audience. I hope these satellite images may feel different to you now. When we read or hear the news headlines and statistics, we think we know, we think we understand. But do we actually feel them? I think it is not the lack of compassion that prevents us from taking action, but it is the lack of relatedness. Currently, it is estimated that over 120,000 individuals, including many children, are detained in political prison camps in North Korea and enduring arguably the worst human rights violation of our time. Please look at them closely. If you try, you maybe feel parts of yourself in North Korean prison camps. Thank you.